Maurice Mac McDonald was born in 1902, and Richard Dick McDonald was born in 1909 in Manchester, New Hampshire. Their parents, Patrick James McDonald and Margaret Anna Curran McDonald, were Irish immigrants. The family was Catholic and included the two brothers and several sisters. Their father worked as a foreman or manager in New Hampshire's shoe manufacturing industry. One of the strongest and most emotional facts in their story concerns their father. Patrick McDonald reportedly worked at the G.P. Crafts shoe factory for approximately 42 years. When he became older, the factory dismissed him because it considered him too old to remain useful. Watching their father lose his livelihood after decades of loyal work deeply affected Mac and Dick. It reportedly convinced them that depending entirely on an employer was dangerous and that they needed to control their own futures. The brothers attended ordinary local schools in Manchester. Mac attended Central High School, while Dick attended West High School. Mac is recognized as a Central High School graduate. Before moving west, Mac also worked in the shoe industry. A 1924 marriage record reportedly listed both Mac and his father as shoe workers. Mac moved to California first, and Dick followed him in 1926. They did not originally dream of selling hamburgers. They wanted to become successful in the movie business. They found low-paid jobs at Columbia Studios, carrying scenery and working with lighting equipment on silent film sets. They reportedly earned approximately $25 per week. They hoped to become producers or directors, but they were unable to advance into those positions. They saved money and bought a 750-seat movie theater in Glendora, California, in 1930. Unfortunately, the Great Depression made the business extremely difficult. The brothers repeatedly fell behind on their bills and even buried silver in their backyard because they feared banks might collapse. After struggling for 7 years, they sold the theater in 1937. After abandoning the theater business, the brothers built a small outdoor food stand using borrowed lumber. It sold orange juice and hot dogs near an airfield. This modest business became successful enough for them to bring their parents from New Hampshire to California and open additional stands. Their father also became involved in the family's roadside food business. Therefore, McDonald's did not arise only from the two brothers, it grew partly from the family's effort to recover after Patrick lost his factory position. When the brothers decided to open a larger restaurant in San Bernardino, several banks reportedly rejected their request for financing. They continued approaching lenders until one finally approved a $5,000 loan after being impressed by their chosen location. The first restaurant was not immediately the simple hamburger operation people recognize today. It began as a conventional drive-in with car hops and a large menu. Only after studying which items made the most money did the brothers close the restaurant temporarily and rebuild it around their speedy service system. The brothers noticed that California's growing car culture was creating demand for roadside restaurants. In 1940, they opened McDonald's Barbecue in San Bernardino, California. It was a traditional drive-in restaurant. Customers remained in their cars while young servers carried food to them. The restaurant offered a large menu containing barbecue, sandwiches, hamburgers, and other dishes. The restaurant made money, but it also created many problems. Service was slow. A large menu required too many ingredients. Plates and glasses were frequently broken or stolen. Many employees were needed. Teenagers occupied the parking lot for long periods. The brothers had difficulty maintaining consistent food quality. Instead of accepting these problems, Mac and Dick carefully studied their sales. They discovered that most of their money came from only a few products, especially hamburgers, French fries, and milkshakes. In 1948, the brothers made a frightening decision. They temporarily closed their profitable drive-in and completely redesigned it. They removed most of the menu, dismissed the car hop servers and replaced plates and silverware with disposable paper packaging. Customers would now walk to a window, order their food and receive it almost immediately. The brothers organized the kitchen like a factory assembly line. Each employee performed one carefully defined task. They called this revolutionary method the speedy service system. A hamburger cost only 15 cents. At first, the new idea almost failed. Customers were accustomed to remaining in their cars and waiting for servers. Some people arrived, saw no car hops and drove away. The brothers reportedly had to explain repeatedly that customers should walk to the window. Gradually, families, workers and travelers understood the idea. The restaurant became famous for serving inexpensive food remarkably quickly. The brothers could not expand successfully. Mac and Dick understood restaurant operations brilliantly, but they were less successful at building a large franchise organization. They sold several early franchises, but many operators changed the menu, ignored the procedures or failed to maintain the same standards. According to McDonald's corporate history, the brothers sold 14 franchises, but only 10 became operating restaurants, excluding their original San Bernardino location. The brothers were also comfortable with their existing success. They wanted financial security but did not appear eager to supervise hundreds of distant restaurants. Ray Kroc discovers McDonald's. Ray Kroc was a traveling salesman selling multi-mixer milkshake machines. In 1954, he learned that one small California restaurant was using an unusually large number of his machines. Kroc traveled to San Bernardino to investigate. He was astonished by what he saw: customers receiving hamburgers, fries, and shakes within moments, with very little waste and an exceptionally efficient kitchen. Kroc immediately believed that this system could work throughout America. He persuaded Mac and Dick to allow him to become their national franchising agent. Kroc was already approximately 52 years old. He was not a young entrepreneur beginning with family money. He had spent years working as a salesman and had experienced business disappointments. In April 1955, he opened his first McDonald's restaurant in Des Plaines, Illinois. However, expansion was not instantly profitable. The hamburgers were inexpensive, and Kroc received only a small portion of each restaurant's sales. Building a national organization required offices, training, inspections, and constant travel. Kroc insisted that franchise owners follow the same system. The same food. The same preparation methods. The same portions. The same cleanliness. The same service standards. His great contribution was not inventing the hamburger system. It was creating a disciplined organization capable of repeating the McDonald Brothers system in hundreds of locations. A crucial financial breakthrough came when McDonald's began controlling restaurant locations and leasing them to franchise operators. This gave the growing company a stronger and more dependable source of income than merely collecting a small percentage from hamburger sales. Mac and Dick preferred caution. Kroc wanted aggressive expansion and greater freedom to change the business. Because the brothers still controlled important decisions, tension developed between them. By 1961, McDonald's had approximately 300 operating restaurants. Kroc purchased the McDonald name and business rights from the brothers for $2.7 million. The brothers retained their original San Bernardino restaurant, but they could no longer call it McDonald's. They renamed it the Big M. It eventually closed. The honest answer is that McDonald's resulted from two different achievements. Mac and Dick McDonald were the true original founders. They took the greatest creative risk, closing their conventional restaurant and inventing the limited menu, assembly line system that helped define modern fast food. Ray Kroc was the empire builder. He recognized the system's national potential, attracted franchise owners, enforced uniform standards, and built the organization that carried McDonald's across America and eventually around the world. The rise of McDonald's resulted from two very different achievements. Mac and Dick McDonald were the original founders and restaurant innovators. They took the greatest creative risk when they closed a profitable drive-in and replaced it with a limited menu, self-service system built around speed, consistency, and low prices. Their speedy service system helped establish the operating model that would define modern fast food. Ray Kroc was the national empire builder. He recognized that the brothers' system could be repeated across the United States. He recruited franchise operators, created a disciplined organization, and demanded consistent food, service, and cleanliness. With the important assistance of executives such as Harry Sunborn, he also developed the financial structure that made rapid expansion possible. Therefore, the history is more complicated than saying that Ray Kroc either invented McDonald's or simply stole it. The McDonald brothers created and perfected the revolutionary restaurant system. Kroc possessed the ambition, salesmanship, and organizational determination to expand that system on a scale the brothers had not achieved and did not necessarily desire. Without Mac and Dick, there would have been no McDonald's concept. Without Ray Kroc and the organization built around him, that concept might never have become a worldwide empire.